The galaxy was a vast and complicated place, filled with countless species, civilizations, and alliances. For centuries, the Galactic Council had been the glue holding it all together. This council wasn't perfect, far from it, but it kept things running smoothly enough that most people didn't question its authority. It was made up of advanced civilizations, each more powerful than the last, and they prided themselves on being the ultimate decision makers for the galaxy. They talked about peace, a progress in cooperation, but in reality, they often cared more about their own interests than anything else. Earth, however, was different. Humans weren't part of the Galactic Council, at least not officially. To many of the other species, Earth was just a small, insignificant planet, full of unpredictable creatures who hadn't even figured out how to live peacefully among themselves yet. Sure, humans had managed to send rockets into space and build impressive machines, but compared to the rest of the galaxy, they were seen as primitive. Most of the time, Earth was ignored altogether, and when it wasn't ignored, it was treated like an afterthought, a minor nuisance at best. But humans had something that no one else seemed to notice: determination. A quiet, stubborn kind of determination that said, if you think we're weak, fine, we'll show you otherwise. It started with a meeting, one of those big, formal gatherings where representatives from all over the galaxy came together to discuss important issues. This particular meeting was about resources. Certain planets in the galaxy had rare minerals, metals, and energy sources that everyone wanted access to. Earth happened to have some of these resources too, though no one had paid much attention to them before. That changed when tensions began to rise. The Galactic Council called Earth's representatives to the table, demanding that they hand over control of their mineral deposits. They argued that Earth didn't have the technology or expertise to use these resources properly anyway. So why not let the more advanced civilizations take charge? It sounded reasonable enough if you didn't look too closely. But the truth was, this wasn't about helping Earth. It was about taking what they wanted without asking nicely. At first, the humans tried to reason with them. They explained how these resources were vital for their own survival and growth. They pointed out that Earth had every right to manage its own assets. But the Council didn't listen. Instead, they laughed off Earth's concerns, treating them like children who didn't understand the bigger picture. Then came the moment that would change everything. One of Earth's representatives stood up, looked around the room at the smug faces staring back, and said simply, "Fine, I'll handle it." Those 6 words sent a ripple through the council chambers. At first there was silence. Then murmurs broke out as everyone tried to figure out what exactly had just happened. Was this a threat? A joke? No one knew for sure, but one thing was certain: Earth wasn't backing down. Back on Earth, news of the meeting spread quickly. People were angry, not just because the council had dismissed them, but because they had dared to underestimate humanity once again. It was the same story throughout history. Someone would look at Earth and see only chaos, division, and weakness. What they failed to notice was the fire burning beneath the surface, the unshakable belief that no matter how hard things got, humans would find a way to overcome. And so plans were set into motion. Scientists, engineers, and strategists worked tirelessly, pooling their knowledge and creativity to come up with solutions no one thought possible. Governments put aside their differences long enough to focus on a common goal. Ordinary citizens pitched in however they could, whether it was volunteering their time, sharing ideas, or simply spreading hope through stories of resilience. While the rest of the galaxy went about its business, blissfully unaware of what was brewing on Earth, humanity prepared for the fight of their lives. They weren't looking for war. They never had been. But they also weren't going to sit back and let others dictate their future. If the Galactic Council wanted a battle, they'd get one. But if they chose to negotiate fairly, Earth was ready for that too. For now, though, the galaxy remained calm. Too calm. Little did anyone know the storm was already on the horizon. When Earth said, "Fine, I'll handle it," no one in the galaxy took it seriously. To most civilizations, it sounded like empty bravado, a desperate attempt to save face after being humiliated by the Galactic Council. But what they didn't know was that humanity had been quietly preparing for moments like this for years. Deep underground, in labs and facilities hidden from prying eyes, scientists and engineers were working on something extraordinary, something that would change everything. The project had a name, Operation Sovereign Dawn, but very few people knew about it. Even fewer understood its full scope. It wasn't just about building weapons or creating flashy technology. It was about harnessing the best of what humanity had to offer. The team behind the project combined cutting-edge science with lessons learned from history, philosophy, and even art. They believed that true strength came not only from power, but also from adaptability, creativity, and unity. At the heart of Operation Sovereign Dawn was a revolutionary energy source. Scientists called it quantum flux energy, though most people simply referred to it as the spark. This energy could do things no one thought possible. It powered machines that ran faster, stronger, and longer than anything else in existence. More importantly, it allowed humans to create shields capable of protecting entire cities or disabling enemy ships without causing harm. It was a game changer, and yet almost no one outside the project knew it existed. While the scientists worked on perfecting the technology, others focused on strategy. Military leaders studied every battle ever fought, not just on Earth, but across the galaxy. They analyzed patterns, identified weaknesses, and developed plans that accounted for every possible scenario. At the same time, diplomats worked behind the scenes, reaching out to smaller, marginalized species who had grown tired of the Galactic Council's arrogance. Slowly but surely, alliances began to form. But perhaps the most remarkable part of the operation wasn't the technology or the strategies. It was the people. Ordinary citizens played a crucial role in making Operation Sovereign Dawn a reality. Farmers donated food to support workers in remote locations. Artists created murals and songs to inspire hope and courage. Teachers educated children about the importance of standing up for what's right, even when the odds seem impossible. Everyone had a part to play, and together, they formed a bond stronger than steel. As word of Earth's preparations leaked out, whispers spread across the galaxy. Neighboring star systems started paying attention. Some dismissed the rumors as exaggerations, refusing to believe that a supposedly primitive species could pose any real threat. Others weren't so sure. They remembered stories of Earth's past, how humans had faced countless challenges throughout their history and somehow always found a way to survive. And then maybe there was more to them than met the eye. Fear began to creep into the hearts of the galactic powers. Leaders of major civilizations held secret meetings, trying to figure out how serious the situation really was. Spies were sent to gather intelligence, but Earth's defenses were impenetrable. Every attempt to infiltrate their networks ended in failure. The more the Council tried to uncover, the more mysterious Earth became. Meanwhile, back on Earth, preparations continued at a feverish pace. Factories operated around the clock, producing equipment and supplies needed for the coming conflict. Training programs were set up to teach volunteers how to use new technologies effectively. Schools introduced courses on interstellar diplomacy, ensuring that future generations would be ready to navigate the complexities of galactic politics. Despite the intensity of the work, there was an undeniable sense of pride among the people. For the first time in a long time, humanity felt united. Differences that once seemed insurmountable faded into the background as everyone focused on a shared goal. There was a feeling in the air, a quiet confidence that said, "We've got this." Of course, not everyone was thrilled about the direction things were heading. Some worried that Earth was biting off more than it could chew. How could a single planet stand against the might of the entire galaxy? And others feared the consequences of provoking such powerful enemies. What if the Council decided to retaliate with overwhelming force? These concerns weren't ignored. In fact, they were addressed head-on. Leaders held town hall meetings, listening to the fears and doubts of their people. They acknowledged the risks, but reminded everyone why they were doing this. "This isn't just about us," one leader said during a speech broadcast worldwide. "It's about proving that fairness and respect matter. Yet if we don't stand up now, who will?" By the time Earth was ready to make its next move, the galaxy was watching closely. Rumors swirled about what humanity planned to do next. Would they strike first, try to negotiate, or come up with something completely unexpected? No one knew for sure, but one thing was clear. Earth was no longer the weak, insignificant planet everyone had underestimated, and the galaxy was starting to realize it. When Earth finally made its move, it wasn't with guns blazing or ships charging into battle. Instead, humanity chose a quieter, but no less powerful way to announce its presence. It started with a message, broadcast directly into every communication network in the galaxy. No one saw it coming. Not the Galactic Council, not the spies watching Earth from afar, and certainly not the billions of beings going about their daily lives. One moment, everything was normal. The next, Earth's voice echoed through every corner of the galaxy. The message was simple but unforgettable. It began with a single phrase: "We warned you, now we act." Those 7 words sent shock waves across civilizations. For some, it was a chilling reminder of humanity's determination. For others, it was a wake-up call, a sign that Earth wasn't bluffing anymore. The transmission didn't stop there. It went on to explain Earth's position clearly and calmly. Humans weren't looking for war, but they also weren't going to sit back while others took what belonged to them. If the galaxy wanted peace, it would have to be on fair terms. If not, Earth was prepared to defend itself and win. What made the message even more striking was how it was delivered. There were no angry speeches, no threats of destruction. Instead, the tone was measured and confident, almost as if Earth already knew it had the upper hand. And maybe it did. After all, humanity had spent years preparing for this moment. Every word of the message was carefully chosen to convey strength without aggression, resolve without hatred. It was a masterclass in communication, and it left the galaxy speechless. But Earth didn't stop at just sending a message. Almost immediately after the broadcasts, strange objects began appearing near key planets and space stations. These objects turned out to be probes, small, sleek machines equipped with advanced AI systems designed for diplomacy. Their mission was simple: approach other species and offer Earth's terms for coexistence. They carried holographic displays showing images of Earth's achievements, its people, and its vision for the future. The probes spoke in dozens of languages, ensuring that everyone could understand their message. At first, many dismissed the probes as a publicity stunt. How could a supposedly primitive species like Earth pull off something so sophisticated? But skepticism quickly gave way to curiosity when the probes demonstrated their capabilities. They could analyze data faster than any known computer, adapt to new environments instantly, and even repair themselves if damaged. More importantly, they carried a proposal that was hard to ignore: dismantle the current power structure of the Galactic Council and replace it with a system based on equality and mutual respect. The Council, of course, wasn't thrilled about this. They called emergency meetings, scrambling to figure out how to respond. Some members argued that Earth's actions were an act of rebellion and should be crushed immediately. Others suggested ignoring the whole thing, hoping it would blow over. But deep down, they all knew the truth. Earth had changed the game, and there was no going back. While the Council debated, ordinary beings across the galaxy watched events unfold with a mixed-wanted sense of awe and admiration. Many had grown tired of the Council's corruption and greed. They saw Earth's rise as a chance for something better, a chance to build a galaxy where everyone had a voice, not just the powerful few. Stories of Earth's courage spread like wildfire, an inspiring hope in places where it had long been extinguished. Back on Earth, life continued as usual, at least on the surface. People went to work, spent time with their families, and enjoyed their hobbies. But beneath the calm exterior, preparations were reaching their final stages. Factories churned out supplies, training programs intensified, and leaders held strategy sessions late into the night. Everyone knew that the real test was still ahead, but there was a quiet confidence in the air. Humanity had faced challenges before, and it had always found a way to persevere. As days turned into weeks, the Council grew increasingly desperate. Spies reported that Earth's fleet was growing larger by the day, though no one could figure out exactly how they were doing it. Ships of all sizes appeared seemingly out of nowhere, each one bristling with advanced technology. Some speculated that Earth had discovered a way to mass-produce vessels using quantum flux energy, and the same mysterious power source that fueled their shields and weapons. Whatever the truth, it was clear that humanity was now a force to be reckoned with. Finally, Earth made its next bold move. Without warning, it disabled several high-profile military vessels belonging to the Council. These ships weren't destroyed. They were simply rendered useless, their systems shut down remotely by Earth's technology. The message was unmistakable. Humanity had the power to strike at will, but it chose restraint. No lives were lost, and minimal damage was done. Still, the impact was enormous. Fear gripped the Council as they realized the extent of Earth's capabilities. For the first time, they understood what it meant to face a species that valued ingenuity over brute force, cooperation over domination. The question now was whether they would learn from their mistakes or double down on the arrogance that had brought them here in the first place. Across the galaxy, whispers turned into conversations, and conversations turned into movements. People began to imagine a future where Earth's vision became reality, where fairness replaced exploitation, and unity replaced division. Whether the Council liked it or not, humanity had planted a seed, and it was starting to grow. The galaxy had never been more divided. Earth's bold moves, its message, its probes, and the disabling of Council ships had thrown everything into chaos. No one knew what to expect next. Would humanity strike again? Would they try to negotiate? Or was there another surprise waiting in the wings? The uncertainty kept everyone on edge, from the highest-ranking officials in the Galactic Council to ordinary beings living on distant planets. For the Council, the situation was dire. Their once unshakable authority was crumbling before their eyes. Members argued endlessly, their debates growing louder and more heated with each passing day. Some called for immediate retaliation, Adi insisting that Earth needed to be taught a lesson it wouldn't forget. Others urged caution, warning that attacking Earth could lead to consequences far worse than anyone imagined. A few even suggested surrendering to Earth's demands, though they were quickly shouted down by those who couldn't stomach the idea of bowing to a lesser species. Behind closed doors, cracks began to form within the Council itself. Long-standing alliances between powerful civilizations started to fray as mistrust took root. Spies whispered rumors of secret deals being made, betrayals plotted, and factions forming. It became clear that the Council wasn't just fighting Earth, it was fighting itself. Meanwhile, outside the Council chambers, the rest of the galaxy watched with bated breath. For years, many had suffered under the Council's rule. Smaller species were often ignored or exploited, their voices drowned out by the louder, more aggressive members. Now, for the first time, there was hope that things might change. Earth's actions inspired countless beings to dream of a fairer, more inclusive galaxy. Protests erupted on several planets, with crowds chanting slogans like "equal rights for all" and "no more corruption." Even some Council-aligned species began to question whether the old system was worth defending anymore. Back on Earth, leaders monitored the situation closely. When they knew they had momentum on their side, but they also understood the risks of pushing too hard, too fast. Humanity's rise hadn't been about conquest. It was about proving that fairness and respect mattered. With that in mind, Earth made another calculated move. This time, it wasn't through words or technology, but through action. Earth deployed its fleet, not to attack, but to take control of key trade routes. These routes were vital for transporting goods, resources, and information across the galaxy. By positioning their ships strategically, Earth effectively brought much of the galactic economy to a standstill. Ships carrying supplies were forced to wait, unable to pass without Earth's permission. Entire industries ground to a halt as materials failed to reach their destinations. Panic spread among businesses and governments alike. Yet despite the disruption, Earth didn't harm anyone. Instead, they rerouted resources to regions that had long been neglected. Starving populations received food shipments. Struggling colonies got access to medicine and building materials. Marginalized species found themselves suddenly treated with dignity and respect. Word of these acts of kindness spread quickly, earning Earth even more goodwill. The Council was furious. Publicly, they condemned Earth's actions as piracy and theft. Privately, however, they were terrified. One Earth's strategy was working perfectly. By targeting trade routes and redistributing resources, humanity had exposed the Council's weaknesses while showcasing its own strengths. More importantly, Earth had shown that it wasn't just fighting for itself, it was fighting for everyone who had ever been mistreated or overlooked. As tensions escalated, the Council faced a choice: double down on their current approach or try something new. In the end, desperation won out. When they decided to launch a covert operation, a last-ditch effort to cripple Earth's fleet before it grew any stronger. Elite commandos were sent to infiltrate Earth's defenses, tasked with sabotaging their ships and disabling their technology. But Earth was ready. Thanks to their advanced AI systems and unparalleled surveillance capabilities, they detected the operation almost immediately. Before the commandos could even reach their targets, Earth forces intercepted them. Once again, no lives were lost. The intruders were captured, disarmed, and sent back to the Council with a clear message: don't test us again. The failure of the covert mission shattered whatever remained of the Council's confidence. Factions turned against each other, accusing one another of incompetence and betrayal. Some members withdrew entirely, refusing to participate in what they saw as a losing battle. Others tried to negotiate secretly with Earth, hoping to secure favorable terms before it was too late. Amid the chaos, ordinary beings across the galaxy continued to rally behind Earth. Artists created murals depicting humanity's rise. Musicians wrote songs celebrating courage and unity. Teachers used Earth's story as an example of how determination and teamwork could overcome even the greatest odds. Slowly but surely, the idea of a new, fairer galaxy began to take shape, not because Earth forced it, but because people wanted it. On Earth itself, life carried on with a sense of quiet pride. People celebrated small victories, knowing that every step forward brought them closer to their goal. Families gathered around screens to watch updates from space. Communities organized events to honor those who had contributed to the effort. There was a shared understanding that this wasn't just about winning, it was about building something better for future generations. By the time the Council called another emergency meeting, it was obvious to everyone that the old order was finished. The question now wasn't whether Earth would succeed, it was how the galaxy would rebuild after the Council's fall. And as the pieces fell into place, humanity prepared to make its final move. The galaxy was holding its breath, waiting to see what Earth would do next. After months of tension, bold moves, and quiet determination, humanity was finally ready to reveal its endgame. But instead of launching a massive attack or declaring victory outright, Earth did something unexpected. It stepped back and let the galaxy decide its own fate. Earth's leaders gathered in a grand assembly hall, not to issue commands but to present a proposal. They invited representatives from every corner of the galaxy, powerful civilizations, smaller species, even those who had once been ignored by the Galactic Council. Everyone was welcome, no matter their size, strength, or history. The message was clear. This wasn't about domination, it was about collaboration. The proposal itself was simple yet revolutionary. It called for the creation of a new framework for interstellar governance, one built on fairness, transparency, and mutual respect. Gone were the days of a few powerful species dictating the rules for everyone else. Under Earth's plan, every civilization would have an equal voice in shaping the future of the galaxy. Decisions would be made through open dialogue, with compromises reached only after careful consideration of all perspectives. Resources would be shared equitably, ensuring that no one went without while others hoarded more than they needed. At first, skepticism ran high. Many doubted whether such a system could work. Some feared it was too idealistic, too naive to survive in a galaxy filled with competing interests. Others worried that giving everyone an equal say would lead to endless arguments and gridlock. But Earth's representatives remained patient, answering questions calmly and addressing concerns with thoughtful explanations. To prove their sincerity, Earth took the first step. They relinquished control of the trade routes they had seized, handing them over to a temporary coalition of neutral species tasked with managing distribution until the new framework could be implemented. This act of trust stunned many, including former critics of Earth, which showed that humanity wasn't interested in power for its own sake. They genuinely wanted to create a better future for everyone. As word of Earth's proposal spread, support began to grow. Marginalized species, long silenced by the Council, saw an opportunity to reclaim their dignity. Larger civilizations, weary of the constant infighting and corruption within the Council, recognized the potential benefits of cooperation over competition. Even some former Council members, in realizing they had nothing left to lose, grudgingly admitted that Earth's plan might be worth trying. Debates raged for weeks as representatives hashed out the details of the new system. There were disagreements, of course, some heated, others resolved quietly behind closed doors. But slowly, progress was made. Compromises were reached and agreements were signed. By the time the final document was drafted, it bore the signatures of nearly every species in attendance. And when the day came to officially dissolve the Galactic Council and establish the new framework, the atmosphere was electric. Representatives filled the assembly hall, their faces reflecting a mix of hope, relief, and cautious optimism. Cameras broadcast the event across the galaxy, capturing every moment for posterity. An Earth representative stood at the podium, looking out at the crowd. Their voice was steady but warm as they addressed the assembly. "This isn't just our victory," they said. It belongs to all of us. We've shown that when we come together, when we refuse to settle for less than what's fair, we can achieve incredible things. Let's use this moment to build something lasting, something that honors the best in all of us. Applause erupted, filling the hall with a sound that echoed far beyond its walls. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt united, not under the rule of a select few, but as a collective of equals working toward a common goal. In the weeks and months that followed, the changes began to take shape. Trade routes reopened, now managed fairly by the coalition. Resources flowed freely to regions that had once been neglected, sparking economic growth and improving quality of life for countless beings. Diplomatic missions replaced military campaigns, fostering understanding between species that had once viewed each other with suspicion or hostility. Back on Earth, people celebrated the dawn of this new era. Parades filled the streets, fireworks lit up the night sky, and communities came together to mark the occasion. Schools taught lessons about the importance of standing up for justice, not just for oneself, but for others as well. Artists created works inspired by the unity and resilience that had brought humanity and the galaxy to this point. But perhaps the most profound change was the shift in perspective. Humanity had always been seen as unpredictable, chaotic, and divided. Now, it was respected as a force for good, a reminder that even the smallest voice could spark monumental change. Other species looked to Earth not with fear or disdain, but with admiration and gratitude. Of course, challenges remained. Building a truly equitable galaxy wouldn't happen overnight. Old prejudices and rivalries didn't vanish completely, and there were still those who clung to the old ways, hoping to restore the Council's dominance. But Earth's actions had set a precedent to proving that cooperation and fairness weren't just ideals, they were achievable realities. As the galaxy moved forward, humanity continued to play a key role. Earth's representatives worked tirelessly alongside others to ensure the success of the new framework. Scientists collaborated on projects aimed at solving shared problems, from energy shortages to environmental crises. Explorers ventured into uncharted regions of space, seeking opportunities for discovery and connection. And so, the story of Earth's rise came full circle. What had begun as a defiant stand against injustice ended as a testament to the power of unity and perseverance. Humanity hadn't conquered the galaxy, it had transformed it. In the years to come, historians would look back on this period as a turning point, a moment when the galaxy chose a different path. And though the road ahead would undoubtedly have its share of twists and turns, one thing was certain: humanity had earned its place among the stars, not as rulers but as partners in building a brighter, fairer future for all.